Before I start, I'm gonna have a Lindor, because nothing gets me ready for a review quite like a Lindor. Hello again everyone, I am SheNoob and this is my review for RWBY Volume 3, Chapter 3, It's Brawl in the Family. Firstly, that episode title, ugh. Secondly, oh my god, this episode. There is so much to talk about. There was a lot of juicy plot details revealed in this one episode. I'm going to get straight into it because this might take a while. Before I do though, I just want to point out that Chapter 3 doesn't go on YouTube until this Sunday for us, and that's my wedding day. So this review will probably be up later than normal. But I have a few days after my wedding before we go away to Bali, so it will be up before we leave. Anyway, episode. At the very start of the episode, we go straight into Winter Schnee's reveal. Winter Schnee was pretty much how I expected her to be. More or less a complete stuck-up bitch. She's quite mean to Weiss, and she's probably like that to everyone as well. As I mentioned in the last review, it kind of seems like Weiss worships her sister and looks up to her and wants to prove herself. And that definitely seems like the case after seeing their exchange here. I feel like Weiss might be the kind of girl who spent her whole life feeling like she's had something to prove. RWBY was so awkward during that whole exchange, she didn't know what to say. One thing I found really nice about this scene was when Weiss referred to RWBY as her friend.
Well, there's RWBY.
No, she does have feelings after all. Thinking of Weiss and RWBY as actual friends is kind of funny. They're just such an odd pair. Mind you, who isn't an odd pair on this show? And then Winter and Weiss walk off towards Beacon, and along comes Uncle Crow. I was on the edge of my seat through this next scene where they're having that back and forth, because I'm just like, when are they gonna fight? When are they gonna fight? I laughed when Crow calls out Ice Queen, directing it at Winter, and then Weiss comes walking along and she's like, hey! It's so funny that Weiss automatically responds to Ice Queen now. That scene had me wondering, why do Crow and Winter not like each other? They're quite obviously on the same side. I guess they just don't like each other. Their personalities just clash. Maybe it's because they're both a little cocky. In this scene, we also see a black bird with red eyes off to the side. Now, it sounded like a crow, but when I first saw it, I thought, why does this bird remind me of Raven? It almost felt like Raven was that bird. Did anyone else get that vibe? Can people even turn into animals? Is that a thing? Or it could be a spy bird of some description. It just seems very arbitrary to have such a focus on that bird and have it just be a bird. Also, the red eyes kind of threw me. But enough about the bird. The fight scene. This fight scene was the best one to date in this volume. It wasn't awesome, but it was still pretty awesome. They definitely stepped it up for this one. This is the fight scene I've been waiting for and I've been expecting to see, because I know this team is capable of great fight scenes. Rude. RWBY running up to find out what the heck is going on and then turning and seeing Crow and shouting, "That is my uncle!" Hilarious. And then we see Mercury walking past, and obviously he recognizes Crow and runs off to go and tell Cinder. He looked a little worried, actually. This whole fight scene was pretty damn good. I feel like we need to discuss the fact that Winter also has the ability to use glyphs like Weiss does. I first realized this when I saw the preview for this episode. I was like, wait a second, Winter can use glyphs? Originally, I thought that semblances were unique to every person, but now it would seem that they can be hereditary. It's obvious that Winter's glyphs are quite a bit different from Weiss's, just judging by what we've already seen. What was with that bird thing that she did? I don't really see what the point of that one was, other than to create a distraction and block the opponent's view. Did anyone else hear that those little white birds sounded a little bit like Nevermores as well? Of course they had to tease us with almost seeing Crow's scythe transform completely. It must be a really awesome weapon for them to hold it back from us like that. I knew it wasn't just a big sword. Everybody kind of complained when his weapon was first revealed. They're all like, Crow is supposed to have a scythe, not a big sword. That's exactly what y'all sound like, by the way. And what did I tell you? I said, just wait and see. I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but Mercury did say it was a scythe, so it's a scythe. It's probably a huge freaking scythe as well. And the scoring for this fight scene, holy crap. That track was awesome. I need this soundtrack. Jeff Williams is being such a tease not releasing any singles yet. Let me just point out that it's most likely because he hasn't actually finished the full versions of the songs. I got a lot of complaints about this in particular last year. Jeff Williams makes short versions of the songs that are quite rough to go into the actual show, and then later he goes back and he finishes them. So last year when there was a big delay from Volume 2 finishing to the soundtrack coming out, I got so many comments saying, why isn't the soundtrack out yet? He's finished all the songs. I was like, I can tell you he hasn't finished the songs. I know how Jeff works. I see the sheets myself. The short versions and the full versions end up being very different. Not just in the amount of instruments that he used, but in the quality of the sound and the notes. Trust me, they are not finished when they go in the show. But anyway, this fight scene is number 1 on my list to do with just the music. Once I get my hands on the soundtrack, that is. Then along comes General Ironwood to break up the fight. General Party Pooper. And then we realise that Winter Schnee is actually in the military. We really should have guessed that just by her clothes. When you look at her and the General next to each other, their outfits are very similar. Then out come Ozpin and Glinda, who we haven't actually seen at all this volume yet. Sometimes I wonder if Ozpin is slowly descending into madness, just judging by his comment about the popcorn and then standing there swirling his coffee.
And popcorn.
Break it up, everyone.
As everyone is leaving, we see Penny having a quick appearance and waving to Ruby and Weiss. And how many of you noticed that Weiss actually smiled when she saw Penny? See guys, Weiss does care about people. And then Ruby is reunited with her dear old Uncle Crow. Their exchange was absolutely adorable. The way she jumps onto him and clings to his arm and he just lifts her up like she's nothing. The way she's waving her legs in the air. The way they interact with each other is just so cute. Crow may be a drunken moron, but he loves Ruby. And then we move to Ozpin's office for the secret meeting. And then it's realised that Crow and Winter are on the same side. It really didn't seem like it a minute ago. So why on earth were they having a massive brawl in the middle of the courtyard other than they don't like each other and to cause a scene? I thought they were trying to be discreet. Then Winter Schnee is promptly dismissed, and then Crow mentions something called autumn.
They're the one responsible for autumn's condition.
What is autumn? Seriously, what is autumn? And what does he mean by its condition? What the hell is Cinder up to? And this is where the juicy plot details are revealed. Crow starts to go on about the secret organisation that he's a part of with Ironwood, Glinda and Ozpin and the 2 headmasters of Shade and Haven Academies. He talks about protecting the people by fighting the fights they don't know about, against an enemy they don't know exists. I guess he's talking about Cinder, but so far she really hasn't seemed like that big of a threat, but they seem to be really afraid of her. Or more, they're afraid of what she can do. He starts talking about the fleet that Ironwood has brought with him. How his army can be a source of panic for the people, and also an attraction for the Grimm because it's a symbol of conflict. And as we all know, Grimm are drawn to negative emotions. And with that many people feeling really concerned about the amount of ships they have to protect them, I can only imagine that the Grimm must be feeling this. Ironwood was so sure of himself about bringing his men with him, and at the end of Volume 2 he seemed to turn his back on Ozpin because he felt that it was necessary to protect the people. But what he hasn't realised is that not only is he not striking fear into their enemies' hearts, he may be inviting an even bigger threat. Crow, Glinda and Ozpin are all against him on this move. Hopefully he'll stop being pig-headed and actually trust Ozpin now. That man knows what he's doing. Ironwood placed his communicator down on Ozpin's table to project a hologram. Then when he goes to pick it up, the Queen piece appears on it. Everyone remember how in Volume 2 Cinder hacked the CCT and the Queen pieces appeared on all the screens. It seems that by doing that she may have infiltrated all of Vale's communications. She could potentially get access to anything she wants. Then we move on to the next scene where Mercury is telling Cinder and Emerald about Crow's arrival. Mercury describes Crow as having bad hair. I don't know if you've noticed, Mercury, but you and Crow are practically the same character model. Seriously, it's uncanny. Then Cinder opens her communicator and says she has a new access point, and the screen shows the Queen piece and General Ironwood's mugshot. With the virus that she infected the CCT with, she's now gained access to his communicator because he connected it to the system. You'd think he would have thought twice about doing that. But not only does she now have access to Ironwood's personal communicator, that apparently gives her access to the Colosseum, as we see when she is able to rig the pairings for the doubles round. Cinder can rig the matches. We see a few doubles teams scrolling past, but eventually she settles on Emerald and Mercury and Coco and Yatsuhashi. I think Team Coffee might be in trouble. If Cinder can rig this, Ruby, Sun and Juniper might all be in big trouble. What will this mean for Freezer Burn? I'm really worried about who Cinder might pit them against. At least now we know it's not M and Mercury. I said M again. I told you, I can't get it out of my head. I just want to refer quickly to last volume. Does everyone remember when Mercury and Pyrrha had that fight when he was trying to figure out what her semblance was? And then later went and told Cinder about it and she said, add her to the list.
Add her to the list.
Is this what the list was for? Was she trying to determine certain people's semblances to see if they were a threat? Or was she trying to figure out whom to pit against whom in the fights? Either way, it's not looking good. They revealed so much information about the plot behind the plot in this episode. This just got very interesting. I cannot wait to see more now. I especially want to find out who Cinder has decided to pit against who for the rest of the doubles. If in fact she's even decided to rig all of them. She might only be interested in certain ones. All in all, this episode was a very, very juicy indeed. And it was great to finally get a decent fight scene. Some good old hack and slash between a couple of professionals. Cool to meet some new characters too. And this has been my review for RWBY Volume 3 Chapter 3. As always, I hope you enjoyed and don't forget to like the video and leave a comment. I want to hear some theories, guys. What do you think Cinder is planning? What's her end game? What do you think about the secret organization Crow was talking about? Let's speculate a little bit. Also, if you did enjoy this and you want to see more, there's videos around me now that you can click on, or click that big red button up there to subscribe to the channel. That's all from me for now, and I will see you when I get back from my honeymoon. Bye!